guys, welcome back to my channel and another video here. I've got another lengthy review for you, but before we get into that, I am wearing something a little different. This is a Powerline hoodie from the Goofy movie. This is not mine. This is my boyfriend's because somebody, and I'm not gonna say that it was me, but it was me, forgot to put the laundry in the dryer, so none of her clothes are dry. That is a chronic problem that I have. I'm gonna work on it someday. But anyways, on to the actual point of this video, and today we are going to talk about static nails. Now, why did I choose static nails? Usually there's a reason I review a brand, and it's because it intrigued me for a certain reason, or there was something very unique about it. And this one is no different. You know, I have found a lot of reasons to review this brand. So first of all, Cork Manicures has talked about them a few times. I've seen her, I think she's maybe gotten PR from them. She's talked about them a little bit on her channel, and I've heard her mention them here and there, and she seems to like them. Another YouTuber I watch named Hannah Louise Poston, she's a beauty YouTuber, but she has recently kind of gotten into doing her own nails, and she was interested in this brand as well. She wears them. And then, I don't know if it's just because I've been searching them a little bit or whatever, but YouTube won't stop giving me ads for static nails. It's like constant. It's like every single video I watch, the first ad is a static nails ad. And then I got an email, like a marketing email, and I think it was an email. They were doing a buy one, get one free on their palettes, which is what I have for you today. And the palettes are just a like sampler basically of a bunch of their colors. And so I was like, well, that is the cheapest way I'm going to get to try these. And I've been wanting to try these, and I could do a review because they have some interesting claims about their polishes. So here we are. So let's go in the usual format. You know, I'll talk a little bit up front. We'll do the swatch and review. And I also have a wear test for you guys. And then we will just talk about my overall final thoughts. So first of all, this brand is 8-free, cruelty-free, vegan, gluten-free, and made in the United States. One of the things that I found impressive about this brand, and I guess it shouldn't be impressive, but still here in 2021, we have to kind of point these things out. On their website, I can't say it was every single polish, but every single polish that I looked at, they show the swatches across 4 different skin tones, and you can select, there's like a little like button, you can choose which skin tone you want to see the polish on, and I'm pretty sure these are like legit photos, because sometimes brands will just like Photoshop the polish onto like 4 different models' hands, like kind of lazy. But yeah, they show you can choose 4 different skin tones, so you can see how the color will look on someone who's a little bit closer to your skin tone if that's something that you are interested in. And I thought that was a really nice way to improve the shopping experience. Now, the brand has on their website that these colors will last up to 10 days or even more than that. And like I said, I'm going to show you the wear test. I'm going to show you how they wore on me in particular and talk more about that later. They do have really thorough instructions on their website on how to apply these. Now, it's not like applying these is any different than you would apply your standard nail polish, but it was almost like if you had never ever painted your nails before and you needed somebody to explain to you how this is done from start to finish, they got you covered. They really like got those bullets down. And I thought that was good because, you know, some people might be just more interested in painting their nails and they have never really done it before, and they just really don't know where to jump off from. And so I thought that was really good on static. I liked their thorough instructions. I myself love a good instruction booklet. And I lastly just wanted to highlight that they say that these dry within like 10 to 15 minutes, but if you leave them longer, obviously they will dry more. I definitely found in my experience, they do dry down pretty quickly. I did find that to be true. So I don't think that their claims are really that insane as far as what they can do and what they're capable of. But let's get into the swatches, and I will show you the full hand swatches as well. I will show you my wear test, and then we will talk about everything else. First, in the Muted Pastels palette, we have Birthday Cake, which is a very light, almost white looking pink. And you're going to notice this with every single polish. On that first coat, there is a little bit of what looks to be patchiness, but what I think is it's just kind of thinner in the areas where it has like settled into my ridges and things like that. Every single one of these is going to be full coverage on 2 coats, even the glitter, which was incredibly impressive. You know, pastels are typically 2 to 3 coats opacity, so with these being 2 coats for every single one, no visible nail line, I was incredibly impressed with Static Nails. Next, we have Milkshake, which is the kind of more red-leaning pink pastel, if you can really call anything a pastel red. Again, just a little bit see-through on that first coat, and we will get that full coverage on the second coat. Just a note on my swatch fingers, the pointer and the middle finger are using glossy top coat from Static, and then the Muted Pastels palette came with a matte topper as well, so on my ring finger and my pinky, I used that on every swatch, even the glitter. Don't ask me why, I was in the groove of it. Next we have Lavender Honey, and as the name suggests, this is obviously a lavender polish. And you can see I figured out that my lighting was a little bit dim in the past 2, and I fixed that. But this one goes on, I would say, a lot fuller coverage than the others in that first swatch. But, you know, I just feel like all of these are 2 coaters, and that's perfect for me. I love doing 2 coats. I gotta say, the brushes for this brand are the perfect shape for me. They're that paddle brush, but they're not too wide, so I don't find that I'm spilling polish all over the place getting into my cuticle line. And they're not frayed or anything at all. They're very well trimmed. Sometimes when you get them from like Orly and stuff like that, there can be some flyaway hairs, but on these, every single one of my brushes was in great condition. Next, we have Earl Grey, which is more of an indigo tone. You know, it's that perfect in-between blue and purple, which I guess is kind of what indigo is, Hillary. But again, thinner on that first coat, full coverage on the second. And I just gotta say how creamy these pastels are. Typically with pastels, they can be a little bit unmixed if you leave them for a while, and then you get these kind of like whiter, lighter patches, these chalkier patches, at least in my experience. These are just super creamy. They go on so smoothly, and they look so good, every single one of them, not a single dud. Next is Cotton Candy. This is the light blue, and I guess I needed to say light because pastels are all light. But this reminds me of cotton candy, like the name suggests. When you go to the fair and you get that tri-colored like monster bag of cotton candy. So I really liked this one. This one was incredibly sheer on this first coat, and I was pretty concerned. But like, look at this second coat. Oh my God, it's just so opaque so quickly. I'm not putting it on thick. I'm putting it on how I would normally apply polishes to my nails. And it's perfect. It's doing its job. And of course, I'm making a mess in my swatch photos. And I really like this one matte. I think it looks kind of like a cloud. We have Pistachio, which is, of course, green. I love any kind of green, but I really liked this color. This reminded me of one of my commenters suggested the other day that like the gender neutral color that's being used in a lot of babies' rooms lately is light green. And this kind of reminds me of that sort of green that is being used in a lot of kids' rooms today. And I don't know, it just gave me kind of like a naturey feel. And so I really liked this one. I thought it was really pretty. And finally, we have Crushed Diamonds. This is the glitter in the collection. And I thought with this first swatch, again, that it was not going to be full coverage in 2. I found that I had to manipulate it just a little bit, but in 2 coats, I got full coverage with the glitter, which is pretty impressive with the glitter. I think that if you're not sponging it on, you need like 3 to 4 coats typically, but it looks really nice. And yeah, I did put matte over the last 2 nails. I don't know why. Don't ask me. And then we have the Bohemian palette, and first is the Desert Rose color. Now, this is a color that I found a little bit hard to work with. I don't love the color on me, but of course, like color, the enjoyment of the color is subjective. So just from purely a formula standpoint, I found that this one was a little bit harder to work with. You can kind of see unevenness still on that second coat, which shocked me because the pastels were so good, but you can see some of my nail ridges peeking through on this one. And then we have Saint-Tropez, and I really like this from a color standpoint because I feel like it's a really good kind of mannequin hands type nude for my skin tone. But this one too, I believe I had a little bit of trouble keeping the polish consistent over my nail. It's got the same streakiness you saw as like the first coat of the pastels. And when I come in with the second coat, it covers it up here, but I just feel like on my swatch photo, just on one finger in particular, on the ring finger, I kind of over manipulated it and you can still kind of see. After that though, we are all smooth sailing. We have Havana, which is kind of like that terracotta-y orange type color, you could say. I really like this color. It's just got that kind of like burnt clay pot kind of a look. And it's almost full coverage on that first coat, as you can see, but when it dries down, I feel like it just could benefit from a second coat to kind of like plump it up, make it look a little bit shinier. And with the glossy top coat over it, you would never know. And I feel like when it's matte, it straight up looks like a flower pot. I love that. And then we have Bordeaux, which is kind of a red, kind of a brown. It's a wine, which I guess isn't a Bordeaux a wine anyways, so what am I saying right now? But I found that it kind of leaned very chocolatey when I got it on my nails. In the bottle, to me it looked very like ruddy red, but when I got it on my nails in person and in the swatch photo, it looked like a Hershey's candy bar. So I think that the color of my skin was just pulling the color a certain way. And then we have Fig, which is a really dusty, dark purple. And I don't really have any purples like this in my collection. It leans almost black in some lighting. It was really hard to pick up on the camera just because it is one of those really dark, you know, like Linkin Park After Dark type of colors where you have to have it in the perfect lighting to see the color. But it's kind of got that vampy, mysterious look to it. And it almost pulls a little brown, a little gray, but it is purple. Next we have Rio, and this one and the next two after it, I absolutely love. Just a really nice pigmented kind of dark navy blue, and it's just really pretty. It looks really classy and upscale. There's something about these like deeper, jewelier tones without being metallic that I really like. I feel like they're very professional leaning, even though they are giving you a little bit more color than a nude would. And so I really liked the inclusion of this one. And I feel like it fits with every color in the palette, which I guess is kind of the point of having a palette, but still. Next we have Sage, and you know I love Sage because it's a green. This is kind of that like army canvas green, and I really like this on my nails. Again, very full coverage in two coats. I think aside from the first two that I showed you, everything that I got was full coverage, and I would stand behind those products. Just the first two, I just found like they were a little bit milkier and harder to get even on the nails for some reason. Maybe just because they're such light colors. But here is the full hand swatch. I especially love this one matte. And finally, we have Sorrento, which is that perfect mustardy yellow. You know I love these colors. I didn't shut up about Mustard the Courage. And one thing I will say about the Bohemian palette in particular, and I think I mentioned this later in the video too, is as pigmented and punchy as these colors are, especially the last 5, they didn't stain my nails at all. And I was really surprised, especially that blue. I was really shocked when I took it off and there was no semblance of staining. And oh my gosh, look at that. It is beautiful. So here are my nails, freshly painted with the Static Nails creams. You can see I just swatched them all out too. But pretty easy to apply. The bottles are a little bit unstable, you know, easy to knock over, so be cautious of that. But so far, really nice shine, dried down pretty quickly. I'm excited to see if this 10-day wear time actually exists. Okay, so here we are at the end of day 2, and there is still no chipping. You can see on all the nails, there is like minor tip wear, but I type all day at my job, so that makes sense. But yeah, so far so good. And I did a lot of like manual stuff with my hands today. I baked, I washed my hands a lot, and I also did the dishes without gloves because I am living on the edge. So far so good. Okay, so this is day 5. You can see there's definitely tip wear, which is totally normal, but I'm finally starting to see some really itty bitty chips, and then I got one on the side here, and then on my right hand, on my stupid nubby nail, there's a little chip there, but this part of my nail is really fragile and flexible right now, so it makes sense that that would chip, but still overall. Oh, and then my thumb, my hair got caught on this when I was washing it in the shower, and so that I have to just go file an itty bitty bit. But other than that, they still look pretty good. Pretty much what I expect after 5 days. Ignore how dry my cuticles are. Like I said, I just got out of the shower. But yeah, just normal tip wear. But usually when my nails start to chip, they don't chip in such tiny fractions. Usually it's like a whole like corner of the polish chips off. So I would say so far doing pretty good. I don't usually wear polish this long because I always take it off right when it starts to chip, or I change my color a lot. But this is not the type of chip that I would typically change polish for. This I would still get use out of, because if you look at it from like a normal distance, you would never know that my nails have those itty bitty like fracture chips. So far, I feel like Static Nails is living up to its claims. It's doing a pretty good job on my nails, and I've been rough with them too. I washed my dishes without gloves because I'm a goblin, and I've been showering, washing my hair, not being like overly cautious of the polish, so it really holds up even to water. All right, so we're gonna ignore how dry my cuticles are. This is day 7. This is right here about the point where I would call it quits on a manicure, and I would remove it and replace it. We've got some minor chipping on this side of the nail. So this is my left hand. I am not left-handed. I am right-handed. And honestly, like that and that are the... Oh, and a little bit on the edge of my thumb here. Those are the only chips that I received on my dominant hand, and obviously like the normal tip wear. I'm going to call it on this manicure 7 days a week. I have never worn polish this long. I'm just not a big like long wearer, but I did want to see how long it would last before I got any kind of significant chipping. To me, this is the point where I would consider it significant. So there you go, 7 days on me, and there you have it. So what did you guys think? Let me get into my positives first, because I just love ending on a negative note. So the first positive that I have is that these palettes are wonderful for Skittle manicures, in my opinion. I am someone who just doesn't function well putting colors together. Like, I'm not someone who understands color theory in the slightest. I'm just like, I like this color, I like that color, and then I'm like, why don't these look good together? And it's like, they're not even in the same tone family. So with this one in particular, which is the one that I did the wear test on, I was like, let me do a Skittle manicure, and I just was like, okay, I'm putting these 5 on. And they looked so good together. They looked really nice together. At least I think they did. As someone who doesn't know anything about color, tell me if I'm wrong. But I just think that these are a really easy way to just get a lot of different Skittle manis. You have like tons of color choices. So that was a big positive for me. Another positive was with the pastel palette. This was the one I was kind of worried about, which is why I threw this in the buy one, get one. I was like, I know I'm going to like these colors. These are my colors. But with the pastels, you never know with pastels. They can be chalky, they can be streaky, they can just look a little off. And while I find that these are very, very light pastels, to the point where it was a little bit hard to pick them up on camera to see color differentiation, In person, they're not so light. And I found that these were shockingly way more full coverage than I had ever expected. You know, pastels, in my experience, are typically a little bit thinner. They tend to take 2 to 3 coats, usually leaning on the side of 3 coats to get full coverage. And even then, on the lightest of pastels, you can still see just a little bit of nail line. I found that these were beyond expectation as far as pastels go. I really liked the colors, and I just found that, you know, these worked so well for me. And if I'm ever like, oh, I need a pastel in whatever shade, I think that Static Nails is going to be the first brand I check before I go anywhere else, because honestly, like, these pastels, they didn't look chalky, they didn't look too milky, they self-leveled really well, which is another problem that a lot of pastels have, and I did not find them to be too patchy until I ended up overworking a couple of them, which I'm sure you saw in my swatch photos. So something that I will say is a positive for most people, not particularly me because I have my favorite top and base coat, but it seems like all the palettes come with the Static Nails top coat and their base coat, or what they call the primer. And you know, if you're giving these as a gift, which these would make a really nice little gift for somebody, then this is perfect because they have the top and the base that they need, and then any colors that they want to use. And so I do find that that is a positive, even though I personally wouldn't utilize it too much. And in the pastel one, you have the top and the base, and then they also have a matte top coat as well, which in my swatch photos and in my wear test, the Static Nails top and base are what I used for that. So I used their whole system for that wear test, just so that we could see how they intended it to be used, how long that worked. So another thing that I thought was a nice little thing was that they give you a referral link if you sign up for their website. And that's just like signing up an account, you know, to buy stuff. So everybody who signs up can get a referral link. And then anybody who clicks through that link gets $5 off their purchase. And then I think whoever's link you use gets a kickback of like a $5 off their next purchase as well. And so I did stick my referral link down in the description box if you would like to use that and save yourself a little money if you do choose to pick any of these up. And my last little positive note is that the application of these polishes was very easy. I really like their brush. It's not too wide for me, and it has that like kind of scooped end where it's like shaped like a C, so it fits right into your nail bed pretty well. And unlike some of the brushes, like Orly, for example, they have that scooped brush, but like sometimes they have a couple like wonky brush hairs here and there. I didn't find that any of these had that. So like well manicured brushes for sure. And as pigmented as some of these colors are, especially like this blue, this one I was worried about as far as staining, but I did not have any staining whatsoever. The removal was very easy. I just think that as far as the polish itself, the paint itself, I don't have anything negative to say. I had a really good experience. I found that in my wear time, it was really good, and I think that if I had been normal about wearing it, they would have lasted even longer. As it was, I was pretty hard on it. I was washing my hair a lot. I was doing the dishes without wearing gloves. I was washing my hands a ton. I was being a little bit reckless. I was living on the edge, and they still lasted a really long time. And I even took them off probably earlier than I should have, just because I wanted to change my nail color. They could have lasted even longer, I'm pretty sure, but honestly, I feel like these polishes that are upside down, these polishes are really nice. They are a really good brand, and I found that I do trust this brand now. I do think that they are a good brand to buy from. With that said, let's talk about some of the negatives of my experience. Okay, so this is the part where I'm going to be petty. So first of all, why are the boxes 2 different sizes? Why? Let's see. This one has 10 in it, and this one also has 10 in it. They both have 10 bottles. Why is this one so much smaller? Why? Why? Like, I think that this looks nicer than this. Like, you can see everything through the window. It makes a nice little display. When someone opens it up as a gift, they're like, wow, thank you so much, it's beautiful. When someone opens up this one as a gift, they're like, what the heck is that? It's just a box. So I get that this one looks nicer, but I don't know. It's just, I think that as far as just the overabundance of packaging goes, I prefer this one. I don't know if it's just because I've been getting 10,000 packages and the boxes are piling up, and my boyfriend is like, Hillary, I swear to God, if I have to go to the trash can one more time, I'm going to scream. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I also don't love the inconsistency of it, but that is literally the most petty complaint, and it's fine, and it doesn't affect anything about the quality of this brand, about the quality of the polish. I just wanted to complain. Okay, so now let me complain about something that's like a little bit more legitimate, but you know. The size of these bottles is a lot difficult to work with. Now, like, this is my hand. This is the bottle of polish. It's quite small. For comparison, like, here's an Essie. Itty bitty in comparison. Like, it's the same height almost, but just very thin. And now the website says to, like, when you have your hand flat and you're painting, you can like stick it in here and then paint it, you know, that way, which is fine. But A, it's like you're holding a cigarette, right? And B, for me, that's very uncomfortable. I don't like putting a bottle between my hands and like working that way. It's just not my preference. I like to set the bottle out in front of me, and then I will like reach for the brush and then bring it back and dip it and bring it back. I don't like this way. That's a personal preference, but I also just find it uncomfortable. Now, that being said, I have pretty large hands. I don't know my ring size actually, but I have just large hands. I have a big palm. My fingers are much longer than the average woman's. Most of the men in my life have smaller hands than me. So that should tell you something about how large I am. I'm just a big person. A lot of my relatives are like over 6 feet. So it's just like, this could just be that I'm a giant. It could just be that these are small. But they are a little bit difficult to work with. You know, they don't have a lot of stability. I did end up knocking, I think it was this one over. Luckily, like, I grabbed it and picked it up in time, nothing spilled. But just if you're going to buy the minis, be cautious about that. So the other negative that I wanted to address on my video was the pricing on these. So these price range about, I would call it probably like higher end, you know, like that's kind of where they're at for me. Which high-end creams I'm not typically super interested in, but I did want to try these out, so I did buy these. Now the palettes themselves, they come in different colorways and stuff like that. So the ones that I got are the Bohemian palette and the Muted Pastels palette. So the Bohemian palette currently online is $54, and the Muted Pastels palette is $60. Now, like I said, when I bought these, they were buy one to get one. So I paid $60 for 2 of them because it was, you know, the cost of the Muted Pastels for both. I got this one for free. It's still a little bit expensive because, you know, these bottles are 5 milliliter bottles. So basically they're minis. I found some of the like mini size, these 5 ml bottles on their website individually, and those sell for $12 a piece. So a $12 mini if you want to buy one of these bottles. And their full-size polish bottles are 12 milliliters, and those go for like $16. So the price is a little high, especially for the mini bottles on their own. Definitely on the higher end. However, they seem to run sales constantly. So I would say wait for a sale and use somebody's referral link. And like I said, I have mine down below, but I'm sure there are plenty of other people who you could use as well, and that should give you $5 as a credit to use towards your purchase. I think that on a discount, these are most certainly worth it. I don't think that I personally would ever pay $12 for a mini, and I definitely don't think I would pay $16 for a single large bottle of these, just because, you know, they do have like fun finishes. Like you saw in the muted pastels, there's like a silver glitter, but they don't have anything that's like so wild. Like usually when I see like a $16 bottle of polish from an indie brand, there's usually like that unicorn pea pigment or something like that in there that really justifies that price. And even then, $16 is kind of on the cheap side for UP pigment. So, you know, I think that $16 is a little bit steep. And I know that's a lot coming from the girl who just spent like bought like $20 bottles of Harry Styles nail polish, but I also know that that was excessive. And I have bought polishes for that price in the past, and I know I will again in the future. I'm just saying, like, as a whole, if I had to assess my general desire for these polishes versus the price point, I would wait for a sale and I would use a code. And then the last thing I just want to say, this isn't really like a negative or a complaint. This was just a general observation I had. When I was first getting advertised these, and every time I looked on the website, I saw that like up to 10-day wear, and I don't know, in my head I interpreted that as like, these wear for 10 days. And that was kind of what I went with. And it's up to 10 days. So it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to get 10 days of wear, but somewhere in that range of 1 to 10, you should get, which that's standard for every nail polish. So I think that the way that they said that on the website was a little bit weird to me. And I even posted on Instagram, I was like, oh, testing the 10-day wear claim. And the brand actually DM'd me and was like, no, these don't wear for 10 days. They wear for up to 10 days. And I was like, what? And then I checked the website again. I was like, oh, I need better reading comprehension. And at first I was like, am I crazy? But I feel like I'm not the only one who interpreted that as like these wear for 10 days. So I just wanted to say that these wear for up to 10 days. However, as you saw from my wear test, I had a pretty extensive wear from them. I found that they wore pretty well on me, and I don't have any complaints about the wear time, especially as somebody who changes their nails as frequently as she does. If I had changed those out when I typically change my nail polish out, there definitely would have never seen any chipping because I paint my nails every 2 to 3 days. So overall, my thoughts on the brand, I think that the quality is there. I think that their aesthetic looks nice. It looks very clean and put together, and it's just a pretty brand. I would say go check out the website. They definitely have it all together. I think that the pastels are definitely worth checking out. Like I said, though, on a discount, because I personally, in good faith, cannot advocate for a $16 bottle of nail polish. I just can't do it. I don't want to tell people, like, you gotta have these, because they are expensive. But I do think that these would make wonderful gifts for somebody. They come in these nice little boxes, and, you know, you can wrap these up really easily. I just think that somebody would enjoy getting these. And honestly, even just a nice little high-end treat for yourself, you know? I think that these were nice. I enjoyed getting them. Like I said, the brushes were great. The colors are wonderful. They wear really well. And the only negatives that I have to say about it are petty, which means you know that these are pretty good. So yeah, that's going to be it for me on this one. Let me know down below your thoughts on this brand, especially if you've tried them before. I would love to hear how they worked for you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.